Welcome back to Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. And I can tell you one thing over the last year, I have grown so much as an individual, as a business owner, and a creative. But there's one through line I love, and that is being aware of what's going around in sense of self. I'm a creative of color, and connecting with other creative of color has always been one of the great things about doing what I do. So let's talk about this today, because I stumbled across this collection, this beautiful collection of poems set to music called Cage Bird Songs in association with Dr. Maya Angelou. And here we have the creators behind that project, Jewell and Shawn Rivera. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having us. We're glad to be here.
It's great to be here.
I was just floored. Because, growing up in school, I'll be completely honest with you, we had to read Dr. Maya Angelou's works, but they were kind of assigned. And so at that age, I want to read it. but coming across this project, Cage Bird Song, was a whole different, as a mom would say, pot of pumpkin. How did it come together? What was the start of this?
Wow. So basically, I had, like you, I grew up listening to Maya, but it was kind of like Brussels sprouts. Like, you don't realize you like them until you're older, and you're like, wait, these are actually really good. But,
listen up, kids.
She reached me creatively at a point when I was at my lowest low, and I was reading her autobiography, and I started to feel inspired. Like, if she's been through more than I'd ever imagined going through, she suffered so that, to pave a way for all of us. And it really kind of put things in perspective for me, her life story. As far as the music side of things, the poems, like, I had this kind of idea in my head to make her words into music, to kind of pass it on to the next generation. But a lot of people, they'll base something on her work as opposed to letting her work speak for itself. So in 2007, I started recording some melodies to the poems. Like, I had them printed out, and I would just kind of sing along with it. And I had some friends that were musicians that would play, and we kind of, started building this snowball effect. And I had no plan. I had no idea that, it would take as long as it did. But thanks to Jewell, Smooch Music helped to make the vision a reality. And it was a wonderful thing.
So let's talk about that, Miss Jewell. Smooch Music, definitely one of the DIY brands, but you're able to have this kind of like resolve to push projects over the finish line. Was it like an instant pitch, like, oh, this is great? Was it something that you tried to see how the market would work? What was Smooch Music's role in bringing this to light?
Well, we started, my husband and I, we weren't married at the time, but I was at his house sitting on his couch. He was upstairs. Let me clear that up. And I was watching this show called Smooth Jazz. And I didn't have my glasses on. It was like Gothic type of letters. It was the T looked like a C. So I said, okay. I said, Smooch. Okay. So that's how it started. Smooch Music. And our first artist was Dr. Angelou. And it wasn't like we were waiting for anything. We were trying to go in all different types of directions. And along came, my son was doing some things with Shawn. And then Shawn brought this project to us through my son, saying, this is something that I think my parents would really like to listen to. So we listened to Dr. Angelou's music that he put together. And we said, we've got to work with this. Dr. Angelou, and the music was so well put together. It was like she was right there putting it together with them. It was perfect. So we said, we have to work with her. We have to find a way to do it. So Shawn, you can tell them about the boat.
Oh, man.
There was a boat involved.
Oh, yeah, it would be an insult to call it a boat. But basically, a friend of mine had a tip and said, look, there's a party for Maya's 80th birthday. And you're not on the list, but here's the dress code and here's where it's at. And if they catch you, I don't know you. Yeah, I hopped on a plane and I went to, of all places, the Mar-a-Lago, because that's where everybody was staying. I'm from Mar-a-Lago, but this is back in 2008.
The clarification.
I show up at the designated place and there's a yacht. And on this yacht is Oprah Winfrey and Quincy Jones and Tyler Perry, Ashford and Simpson. I mean, you name it. It was like the who's who on this yacht, and they're eating like pink cheese. Oh man, it was just a fabulous, unforgettable time. I
Yeah.
didn't get kicked off the boat.
So I mean, don't like tell me the blueprint of sneaking to a party, but was it like a James Bond thing? Did you have like Vulcan grip somebody to like pass the security? Like what?
No, I acted as if like I dressed the part, and I saw somebody there who was a friend of a friend, like the person who gave me the tip, Margaret Courtney Clark. She was friends with Vicky Hughes, who is one of Maya's family members, cousin. So I started talking to Vicky about Margaret, and then other people saw us talking to each other, and next thing you know, it's like I'm being introduced to other people. So by the time like the line started forming, I was just another person in the line. I was waiting to see if they're going to pull out like a guest list or a manifest.
Yeah.
But no, if you knew where to be, then you could have got on that boat.
Maybe I'm just like totally ignorant, but I figure if Oprah was there, they would look for fingerprints, biometric scans, retina scans. And I love the fact that you named your company Smooch there, Ms. Jewell, even though the origins are kind of funny, but like I always took it as like keep it simple, like ask the KISS method. And I think that what we saw here was this beautiful collaboration of words and music to really present something new. Working with the state though of Dr. Maya Angelou, I could have bet they're bombarded with ideas and remixes or what have you all the time. Like, how did you break through to show this can actually be used to positively inspire other people?
Well, Smooch, actually, Smooch means sharing more of ourselves changes hearts.
Yeah,
that's what it's really all about.
Right
And so once Shawn introduced the project to us and met Dr. Angelou and gave her a CD, just a little, rough draft of things. And we started working with our attorney and everything back and forth. And she just said yes. And she doesn't normally say yes to anyone, we found out. And she decided she wanted to look into this project. So we went down there to visit her, really nervous. Now she was really just getting out of the hospital. And they said, you can't have any germs around you. You can't have any cough, nothing. Because she's that sensitive. So she came home to spend time with us, to meet us. And so we, before we left, we went to the black part of town and we got some African soap, which was really, really good, and washed ourselves really good. And so we didn't have any germs around us. When we first met her, we walked into her home and we were introduced to her. And I was so nervous. I said, what am I going to say to this woman? This icon. So, I was a little nervous and I said, hello, it's nice to meet you. And she was so sweet and so pleasant. And she asked me, when we sat down, she asked me to give her some papers. She had some papers on her desk. And I gave her, 2 or 3 pieces of paper. And I said, I don't know, is this okay to write on? She said, I said, it looks important. She said, everything is important. So that was my first lesson. And I said, okay. And then she looked at me and she said, I perceived who you two were before you got here. Yeah. And I said, oh, okay. Then I said to myself, I don't have to worry about trying to be what I'm not, or trying to be smart or whatever. So everything calmed down at that point and we just were ourselves. And I learned so much from her. She's changed my life. I would never be the same. The things that she taught us, the things that she said to us, and the way she worked with us, she really knew what she was doing. And she was always on time with her pearls on. She was dressed to the nines. And we were always sitting at her big kitchen table. And that's where we did all of our work. And she was always there and telling her people what to do. Okay, find this, do this. I mean, she was on it when we walked in that door every single day.
Yeah. Shawn, your musical background speaks for itself. I mean, you can do a couple deep dive Google searches. I mean, Left Face Records, which was this record label I wanted to be signed to. I had no musical talent. I just wanted to be signed to it, to High Five Outkast. That was like a kid's dream here. But what is the nuance though of making songs out of lyrics you can't really like change, right? Well, you can't really do things with.
But that's a great question. Okay, you're in LA. Are you familiar with Leimert Park?
Yeah.
Well, I used to be part of the spoken word scene after the As Yet days, after my 90s R&B boy band thing kind of died down. I really got heavily into spoken word and performance art. And the thing about Dr. Angelo is the way she writes, it has cadence rhythmically, and also the meter and the structure lends itself to music. And on top of
Oh,
that,
okay.
if you do a deep dive into Maya, she has calypso records. Like she used to be a musical artist as well. So I chose poems that really didn't need much adjustment in terms of, it was more about building around her. The best compliment I get when people listen to the record is, "So what did you do?" Because it sounds like she went in the studio and just did it that way. But
Turn me
really,
up. Yeah.
it's like how you ever see like online how they do these like auto tune the news or like iMarquees where they'll be
Yeah.
syncing up. I was doing that kind of stuff like before it was a thing. Like to take the YouTube videos, I would take her video and then try to line it up with the beat, like
Yeah.
chop it, phrase it. So it's kind of doing the same thing for the audio and the video. But really, I have to say that if it wasn't for the depth of Maya's work, what she put into it, there would be no inspiration. Like the kind of the attention to detail, like you can't mess up Dr. Angelo. Like it'd be better just to leave it alone if you're gonna,
Right.
take liberties.
I gotcha. Like those late Michael Jackson songs. Wink, wink.
Oh my God. Here we go. Right.
I had to go into that. Sorry. But from idea to completion, how long was the Cage Bird Songs project?
Woo,
Mm.
that's a good question.
I would say about 7 years plus, because
Whoa.
there was one version of the record that was done before we met her. There were clearances that had to be obtained legally, but for the rights for the printed work, the poems, her name and likeness, and then there were audio samples from some of her performances that were included, and to have her, she actually performed live on the record too. There's music, new creations that she did specifically for the album. So there's a lot of red tape.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
It's actually still going on.
Yeah.
Even though she's passed on, her music, her energy is still alive and well. So I don't know if it's ever going to end, because the things that are on that on our music is timeless, and things are always going on in the world that relate to her music. So we can pick out different songs right now, like we did Still I Rise and now Human Family, things that are always going to be current. So
Yeah.
we don't even know if it's ever going to end. But the things she said to us the last time we talked, we were getting ready to go back down there. We had sent her a copy of what we did, and I called her up and I said, "Shawn, you want to jump on this call?" And he said, "Yeah." So we talked to her on the phone, and we knew that she had listened to the music. And I said, "What do you think about it?" And she goes, "Well, I like it very much. What do you think?" And I said, "Well, it's fine, but we need to tweak it here and there and bring this up, bring this down, whatever." And she said, "Well, I'm leaving it in your hands." And I said, "Well, God's in control." And she said, "God's in control." And we hung up. And
Wow.
about 2 weeks later, she passed away, and she passed away on my birthday. And we talked to Oprah during the memorial, and Oprah told me Dr. King died on her birthday. So it's just more little pieces of, we feel like we're doing the right thing for the right reason, and this is so important to us, and she left it in our hands. So this is why we're making sure that whoever we work with, whatever we do, we're doing it for the right purpose. And it's not about making tons and tons of money or anything. It's about getting the word out, because words are everything. They're powerful.
Words are powerful. CageBirdSongs.com. So I have to ask the 900-pound gorilla, the elephant in the room. It's as we're recording this, it's spring 2021, almost about a year since the Black Lives Matter movement of 2020. And I have to say that specifically because it's not a year only thing, right? How has your content really, come to the forefront? How is it related? Is it more relevant now than ever, judging by what has changed fundamentally in our society over the past year?
I'm going to start with this, Shawn, if you don't mind.
Take your time.
we were sitting and we had a meeting and we talked about what should we be doing now. And this was before, George Floyd and all of that. And then the meeting that we had, that was right after he passed, and we decided to do something with Still I Rise. We felt that this was the time to do that. So a few days later, Shawn came up with this incredible video. It was, he's such a genius. He just pulls things together. It's so perfect. It's so powerful with her words and with As Yet behind it and the music and the visual. It's unbelievable. It's heart-wrenching and it's true and it moves people. And so that was the right thing to do at the right time.
Sure. Shawn?
Well, one of the things that really struck me is that how many people weren't aware of how long this has been going on, meaning that for folks that are insulated from the real world, they think that the George Floyd incident is some kind of new thing. And I recalled Emmett Till and his mother asked specifically to have an open casket. And those were some of the first viral images that people had seen for that era, for what would be viral, to see it in a newspaper. And it was like shocking. And if she hadn't had that courage, then we wouldn't have been able to put things in perspective. I mean, it's unfortunate. Like I'm frustrated. It's like a bittersweet thing because yes, Maya's work is more poignant than ever, but I also feel as though there's only so much rising you can do before eventually we reach the top. Like there should be a point when the struggle comes to an end, but I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. It would be great if it did.
Yeah.
But all I can hope for is that this moves the needle, that people will connect with the music and the message. And even if just one person kind of really it hits home for, where they might want to, I don't know, change course and go in a better direction, or maybe somebody who doesn't necessarily know what's going on, but can feel it in the music,
Yeah, that's my next question. Has the needle moved? Is it getting better at all, or is it cyclical?
I think it's moving, and I have to believe that. And I'm not going to ever sit still and just let it happen. I'm going to be a part of the change. We are going to be a part of the change. Even if it's moving the needle a little bit, it's moving. Okay. So I'm not asking for miracles. I'm just wanting people to listen to this music, to watch the video, to understand that we're moving forward. We're coming together more and more. And it's not just Black people anymore. It's Black, brown, Asian, whatever you are, we have to be seen as equals. And this is what we're all, that's what our country stands for. Okay. No one's better than anyone else. All men are created equal. So they keep forgetting that line. And so we're going to keep reminding them of that. And we're not going away, and we're getting stronger, and we're doing better. And we're doing peaceful marches. We're not marching on the Capitol. We're not doing any of that. We're doing it the right way. So don't come after us when we're doing a peaceful thing. That's the bottom line with me. And we're going to be heard. And eventually people are going to start paying more and more attention, because there's black and brown and white people walking together in these marches. It's not like we're separate anymore. We have a lot of people behind us. And if you look at commercials, you'll see mixed couples all the time. You can't go back. Okay. The only way you can go is forward.
It's funny you said, not funny. It's interesting you said, all men are created equal. And I always, when I do my stand-up comedy, I always say it's never liberty and justice for some, right? That's kind of a very similar thing. With Cage Bird songs released, and it's always pretty a cool idea. 50% of the proceeds went to this from the Still I Rise single went to the Dr. Maya Angelou Foundation. How important was it for you to give back to the foundation that are giving so much to make this project a reality?
Oh, we definitely, with everything, one of the things that really drew me to Smooch was not just with this project, but with every project that Smooch does has a humanitarian aspect. But specifically with this, the first thing we wanted to know was how can we use this to give back or to push the needle again in more than just lip service and awareness. And with Maya's Foundation, I mean, it's some initiatives that for education, women's empowerment, I mean, things that we already stand for. And it just made perfect sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so Smooch, every project Smooch touches, they have a humanitarian effort. That's pretty cool. Being able to make sure you're not just taking, you're giving back. I mean, was that bred into the DNA? Was this project the first one to really try the pilot program? What was the business side of that idea?
Well, bottom line is, it's not about, it's about being equal again. And it's not about us. It's about all of us. And Dr. Angelou's projects and everything that she's ever touched changed people's lives. So why wouldn't we want to give half of that to her organization, to her people? Because we're all in the same. We're doing all the same thing. So it's about just being fair and not trying to be greedy or anything. But whatever we're given, we're grateful for. It's unfortunately, I have to say, with a lot of people, maybe it's about the money, but all of that comes to me, as far as I'm concerned, all of that comes, but there's things much more important than money to me.
Yeah. It says a lot that now more than ever, we always look at the About Us label. What do you stand for? What do you represent? What do you feel about certain issues? And I think that's kind of influenced what I consume, whether it's songs or creative projects, the artists themselves and what they stand for. So that's great. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I've learned a lot more about Dr. Maya Angelou through your experiences with her. Just so gracious, it seems, being able to really agree to do a project this unique. If anyone want to check it out, how would they go about doing that? How can they connect with you individually or as an organization at this time? How do they go about doing that?
Oh, Shawn, you can tell.
Okay, let's see. CageBirdSongs.com, SmoochMusic.com. My personal handle is Shawn Kurt Rivera at IG, or Shawn Rivera. Sort of looks like me, different hairstyles. You can find me. And if you Google it, I'm sure you'll definitely find Cage Bird Songs if all else fails.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh, yeah. Van at SmoochInc.com, or you can just find me through Shawn Rivera, because he's kind of like my assistant.
I screen all her calls.
Yeah. He's the lookout guy.
Yes, somebody's got to keep the riffraff out.
So that's why they get my calls answered. No, I'm just kidding. I want to see you back. I want to see you back in the future to see how this project is growing and taking life of its own. Because I really feel that because it's so open to interpretation of the root lyrics or whatnot, I would love to see how the public are really taking to this project.
For sure.
We'd love to be back on. Thank you so much for having us today.